My stepson Cole and I were just having a regular OL evening in the den. After Ma passed, bless her heart, the quiet in this house, it got loud. For 2 years, I was trying to glue the pieces of my life back together, but I hadn't noticed. Cole had blossomed. Or maybe, deep down. I didn't want to. We were watching some shoot-'em-up movie, explosions and all, with a sprinkle of romance thrown in. Cole, he was sprawled on the couch next to me, all long limbs and easy confidence, looking like he owned the damn place. It was the first time, really, that I saw him. His shoulders were wider, his jaw sharper. He wasn't a boy anymore. He was a man, through and through. But I pushed that thought right back down, quick. "He's my stepson, Darla," I mumbled to myself. Yet that night, I had no idea those reminders would fall so dang short. As the movie went on, the scenes got hotter than a July barbecue. Cole leaned a little closer, resting his arm on the back of the couch, edging towards me. Seemed like he was going to say something, but he didn't. For a heartbeat, our eyes locked. Lord have mercy. In his gaze, I saw that depth. That knowing, and right then, a cold dread settled in my stomach. Part of me wanted to laugh it off, make it normal. It's no theme, just the movie, just a misread. I told myself, but my feelings, they weren't lying to me. During one of those sappy romance scenes, I felt his breath tickle my cheek. Without even realizing it, he'd gotten closer. His hand on the couch, it was so close to my shoulder I couldn't tell if he was going to touch me or not. Inside, I was a mess, a tangled up ball of yarn. Being this close to him, it made me uncomfortable, but sweet Jesus, it also sent a shiver right down to my toes. That feeling terrified me. But everything was moving so fast, I couldn't even keep up with my own thoughts. "Darla," he said, his voice low, kind of hesitant. "I gotta tell you something." I turned to him, heart hammering like a runaway train. "Yes, Cole?" I asked, but my voice shook like a leaf in a storm. "I just I want to thank you for everything," he said. "After Ma died, you were always there for me. You didn't have to be, but you were. And because of you, I never felt alone in this house. That's because of you." His words hit me hard, but the air between us felt thicker than molasses, making me feel even more exposed. "Course, Cole," I said, forcing a smile that felt tighter than a drum. "I'm glad you're here." But he didn't break eye contact, not for a second. "Me too," he said. Slow, his voice sounding deeper, kind of husky. "Seeing you here just makes me feel easy." The air between us grew heavy, like a summer thunderstorm rolling in. All of a sudden, he must have felt it too, because he pulled his hand back a little. But his eyes never left mine. In that moment, I didn't know what to do. My heart was pounding, like crazy, my thoughts scattered like chickens in a fox's den. I tried to put some space between us, but the spark had already caught in my mind. He wasn't a boy anymore, okay? That truth, it landed on me that night. And it was a truth that would everything that night. Cole's approach, it was different, warmer, more emotional. For years, I'd been like a ma to him, but the Cole sitting next. To me, that night, he wasn't that little boy anymore. At 19, he was tall, broad-shouldered, and undeniably handsome. But he was still my stepson, wasn't he? That thought, it was what I clung to as I tried to smother the confusing feelings staring inside me. But I couldn't have known that it wouldn't end there. When Cole looked at me that night, the depth in his eyes left me defenseless. Left me wondering why he was being so tender. I didn't realize just how close we were to cross in a line that night, and this story, which started that evening, would change the whole damn course of my life. If you enjoy hearing confessions like this, y'all come on over to my channel, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to help support us. Trust me, this story is going to be one of the wildest rides you ever took, honey. A few days went by since. That night, Cole, he was acting different than usual. At breakfast, he talked more, and his eyes, They barely left me. He'd started helping around the house in a way he never had before. "Darla, let me help you," he said one morning when he saw me sweeping the floor. He took the broom right out of my hands and started doing it himself. I just stared at him, mouth agape. He'd never done nothing like this before. "I know you handle everything in this house by yourself," he said, his eyes locked on mine. "You're just one woman. Someone needs to lend you a hand around here." Those words, they surprised me, and Lord help me, they moved me too. "Thank you, Cole," I said, trying to steady the tremor in my voice. But inside, a warm wave spread through me, chased away some of the cold I had grown used to. The way he, so plain-spoken, acknowledged my loneliness, it struck a deep chord. Later that day, while I was cooking supper in the kitchen, I felt Cole's eyes on me. He was standing behind me, leaning against the counter, just watching. But these weren't the looks I was used to. Bless my soul. His eyes wandered all over my mind. Body, my hips, my back, my hair. At first, I thought I was imagining it. "No, Darla, you're overreacting," I told myself. But I could feel the heat in his gaze. I did my best to act normal, but deep down, I couldn't deny the little shiver I felt. To be honest, I liked it. It had been so long since I'd felt someone's eyes on me like that. When Cole left the kitchen, I couldn't help but go to the mirror. I looked at myself in the reflection. Even in my 40s, I was still ... something. I had a trim waist, full hips, and a toned body thanks to the walking I did around the farm. My light brown wavy hair, it fell graceful over my shoulders, framing my face soft. My breasts, well, they seemed to have forgot my age. I hadn't looked at myself like this, really looked, in a long time. In that moment, something stirred inside me. Something was changing. I could feel it. Cole's behavior, it got more obvious as the days passed. His eyes, they never left me anymore. Sometimes it was a casual touch, a brush of his hand against mine. Sometimes just a simple word, but I started to notice he was pushing the boundaries. Between us, maybe the worst part was, I found myself enjoying it. After what happened in the kitchen that day, as I lay in bed that night, one thought wouldn't leave my mind. Cole wasn't a boy anymore. He had grown into a mature, handsome man. But I never could have guessed how much that realization would excite me, and I knew very soon there would be a moment where all of this would spiral into something impossible to untangle. One evening, came home from town, and the sight that greeted me, well, it took my breath right away. Candles everywhere, flowers, a beautifully set table, and a romantic atmosphere. More than anything, I was floored by the birthday surprise Cole had set up. At first, I couldn't believe it was for my birthday. This kind of effort, it seemed more like something you do for a lover. When Cole came into the den to greet me, I understood why I felt that way. He was wearing a white shirt and black trousers. I'd never seen him like this before, so put together. So ... charmin'. It was hard to look away. "I wanted to make this day special for you," he said, with a shy smile. Then he handed me a box. When I opened it and saw the dress inside, I just stared at him in shock. It was a stunning dress, bold red with a soft fabric, a deep open back, and a high slit. The moment I saw it, I felt both excitement and hesitation bubbling up inside me. "You bought this for me?" I asked, surprised. "Course. It's your birthday, and I wanted you to wear something special. I'm sure it'll look amazing on you," he said, his voice calm but his gaze intense. I took the dress and went to my room, my mind worried a mile a minute, standing in front of the mirror. I felt the soft red fabric brush against my skin, and, honey, I experienced something I hadn't felt in a long time. As I slipped the dress on, I realized I hadn't worn anything that showed off my figure this beautifully in years. My long legs peeked elegantly through the slit. The curve of my waist and the smooth line of my back were perfectly highlighted by the dress's design. I studied myself in the reflection. And after a moment of silent observation, I smiled and whispered, "To myself, this is wild. dressing up for Cole, but wow, I do look stunning in this dress. I leaned in and examined my reflection more closely. Facing some truths I had been ignoring for years. Yes, I was in my late 40s. But this dress made me feel like I was in my 20s again. My skin was still smooth, my light brown hair fell soft around, my shoulders framing my face with elegance, and inside I felt a thrill I hadn't felt in a long time. Taking a deep breath, I left the room. When I walked into the den, Cole's eyes locked onto me, and he didn't break his gaze. The way he stared at me, it made everything even more surreal. There was no hiding the admiration in his eyes. Smiling, I said, "I owe this to you. The dress is incredible." I couldn't help but feel flustered under Cole's gaze, so I quickly looked away and said, "Thank you." Cole's eyes were still glued to me, and he replied, "You look absolutely stunning in that dress." When I heard such a direct compliment, I felt my heart race. But I tried to brush it off and replied, "You're exaggerating." He then guided me to the table he had prepared. There were 2 wine glasses, and a bottle of red wine sat elegantly in the center. For a moment, I felt like I was in an entirely different world. This didn't feel like a birthday celebration. It felt like a romantic dinner. But I didn't say anything, because the atmosphere had completely drawn me in. Cole opened the wine and poured it into our glasses. Soft music played in the background, and the wine left a warm sweetness on our tongues. At first, our conversation was about the past, about Ma, and the changes in our lives. But as the evening wore on, I noticed Cole was slowly steering the conversation to something much more personal. "Darla," he said suddenly, his voice soft but carrying a serious tone, "how can a woman like you be alone? I just don't get it." I locked eyes with him, completely at a loss for words. "Cole, lonely isn't always a choice. Life has a way of leaving you alone," I said, but his gaze held something deeper. "You don't have to stay alone," he added, lifting his glass to his lips. "A woman like you has needs, Darla, and I'm here." The words caught in my throat. What he said hit me far deeper than I was prepared for. I raised my glass and took another sip, but my eyes stayed on Cole. This birthday had stopped being just a celebration. It was turning into something else entirely. When Cole set his wine glass down, he never took his eyes off me. "Darla, you look absolutely incredible. I wanted this night to be special for you because you deserve it," he said, his voice low but firm. I gave a shy smile, twirling my glass in my hand. "It's really sweet of you to say, Cole, but sometimes I wonder why you're putting in so much effort." I said. Cole raised an eyebrow slightly and replied, "Because you deserve it. You're not just a stepmom, Darla. You're so much more than that." His tone carried a depth that both surprised and deeply moved me. For a moment, neither of us looked away. The silence between us only intensified the tension. My heart was pounding, but I couldn't bring myself to say anything to break the moment. Cole slowly stood up from his seat, walked around the table, and came to my side. Resting his hand on the edge of the table, he leaned toward me. "Darla, you don't deserve to share your life with someone who doesn't appreciate you. No one should overlook a woman like you," he said. "Cole," I began, but I had no idea what to say. The words were stuck in my throat. Just as I was about to speak, Cole leaned in closer to my face. "I can't hide how I feel about this," he said in a whisper, and then his lips met mine. The kiss completely threw me off balance. I felt a rush, a warmth, a connection I hadn't felt in years, and slipped slowly to my waist, pulling me closer to him. What had started as a moment of shock quickly turned into something I couldn't help but respond to. Our lips stayed locked for what felt like an eternity, as though the world had come to a standstill. But suddenly, reality hit me like a ton of bricks. I slowly pulled away from Cole, completely out of breath. This isn't right," I said, my voice trembling. Cole, I need to go to my room, was all I could manage to say. Cole looked at me and took a deep breath. I'm sorry, Darla, but I couldn't stop myself from feeling this, he said, his voice calm yet still carrying a fire within it. Without saying anything else, I stood up and hurried to my room. As soon as I entered, I shut the door and leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. My heart was racing, and I tried to piece together what had just happened. I sat down on the edge of my bed and looked at the mirror. Even my reflection seemed unable to shake off the weight of that moment. How did this happen? I whispered to myself. The whirlwind in my mind, mixed with the effects of the wine, slowly pulled me into my bed. As soon as my head hit the pillow, the emotions and weight of the evening overwhelmed me, and I drifted off to sleep. But the night wasn't over yet. Sometime later, I heard a faint noise. My eyes fluttered open, and I saw a shadow at the door. The door was slowly opening, and in the dim light, Cole's silhouette appeared. Darla, he whispered softly. His voice was low, but there was a certain determination to it. My heart started pounding again as he walked into the room. I know I shouldn't be here, but I can't help it, he said, closing the door behind him. In that moment, the look in Cole's eyes told me that this night wasn't over. The determination in his gaze and the tone of his voice completely consumed me. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might burst out of my chest. I knew I needed to say something to him. As my eyes locked onto his, years of suppressed emotions suddenly bubbled to the surface. I know I need to give you an answer. Cole, I said, my voice trembling but laced with raw honesty. I feel the same about you, and I want you. The determination in Cole's eyes completely captivated me. The emotions I had buried for years were no longer something I could hide. My heart raced in my chest, and I knew I had to respond. Taking a deep breath, I steadied my shaken voice. No, I need to give you an answer, Cole, I said, locking my eyes on his. I feel the same way, and I want you. As those words left my lips, the mixture of surprise and happiness on Cole's face gave me a surge of courage. A soft smile played on my lips, and I closed my eyes for a moment to gather myself. Please, before I lose my nerve, I said, my hands moving to my shoulders as I slowly slipped the thin straps of my dress down. The fabric slid off my body and fell to the floor, leaving me standing there as Cole's breath caught, the admiration and desire in his eyes palpable. His eyes only fueled the fire coursing through me. Without hesitation, Cole stepped closer to me, and our lips met again. His kiss was so full of passion that it felt as though the entire world had stopped. His hands slid around my waist, pulling me tightly against him as the kiss deepened. Finally, he gently guided me toward the bed. When we reached the edge, Cole's hands carefully lowered me onto the mattress. As my eyes stayed locked on his, the weight of him over me made me surrender completely. Cole bent down, quickly pulled off his shirt, and tossed it aside. Then he placed his knees on the bed and leaned over me. The determination and intensity of desire in his eyes only fueled the fire inside me even more. His fingers slowly slid down my cheek, finding my lips again. In that moment, the boundaries that had been built between us over the years completely vanished. I felt something I hadn't felt in over 2 years. I had fully surrendered. As Cole continued, I gripped the sheets tightly with my hands and closed my eyes. I let myself get lost in the tension and excitement coursing through my body. When I opened my eyes and looked at Cole, seeing his flushed face and broad shoulders, I couldn't resist. I reached my hands to his back, and in a fleeting moment of excitement, I dug my nails into his skin. Cole must have liked it because his heartbeat sped up even more. I placed my hand over his chest, feeling his raisin heart, and at that moment, Cole couldn't hold back any longer and let himself go. We had surrendered to each other, and Cole, breathless, laid down beside me that day. While talking about romantic things, I had fallen asleep. After this day, my life was going to take a completely different turn. I had just experienced a night where I was happier than I had ever been. And in that moment, realized this was only the beginning. Make sure to listen to what happens next because this story doesn't end here. Just stay tuned. If you've made it this far, I know my story has deeply touched you. There's so much more to share and you won't want to miss any of it. Don't forget to hit that follow button, turn on those notifications, and leave a comment about this story.